Amen. Amen. So we are in our 21 days of prayer and fasting. I started last week, and we said, look, at the start of this year, we are believing this is a significant time. It is such a significant time as we come into this new season, this new decade. And really one of the big things that God has been speaking to my heart about is we should start thinking 10 years ahead. We should start thinking for the next 10 years rather than for the next 5 minutes. And I know for some of us that's really difficult. We're thinking to ourselves, oh my goodness, I can't even think about tomorrow. But I'm thinking sometimes there is time and there is purpose for us to strategize 10 years ahead and start thinking, God, I wonder what you're calling me to over this next 10 years. I wonder what you're bringing me to over this next decade. Because what it does to our spirits and what it does to our minds is like, okay, I better wake up a bit. I better kind of get it together a bit. Because there is something that God has called me to do. It is not just go with the flow all of the time. I want to flow with the Spirit, but I want to move with the things of God. And God has a plan and purpose for your life. And as we press into Him, He will reveal that. So over this next few weeks, I want us to look at 3 of the things that we kind of have put together for our prayer and fasting. One is deeper, one is intimacy, and then one is power. We're going to look at deeper today, then we're going to go to intimacy, and then we're going to finish off with power. But I believe that God is calling us into a deeper relationship with Him through this fast. He's calling us into a more intimate relationship with Him through this fast, and a more powerful relationship with Him through this fast. When we go into this fast, what is our real heart? Our heart is there closer to Him. Our heart is to know Him better. Our heart is to pursue the one who loves us because He is incredible. And so I think about deeper, I think about a moving word. I think about a word that wants to keep moving because I'm going deeper. Maybe you've done some scuba diving before, maybe you've done some diving in the pool, maybe you've jumped off the board and dived in the pool, didn't go so well, but whatever way you find yourself diving, you understand there's a movement that takes place, there's a trajectory, there's a velocity, and you are going somewhere. You're not just static. And that's what God is desiring in our relationship with Him. Are we going somewhere? Are we going somewhere in our relationship with Him? Are we getting deeper with Him? Or does it feel sometimes like we're getting more shallow all of the time? Does it feel like we're jumping out all the time? You ever went into the sea when it's really cold and you run in and out those times? It's like, but when I watch guys that are used to the sea, guess what they do? They dive straight in. They don't care how cold it is because they understand the best way to get used to is to dive straight in. To go deep dive straight in. Whereas I'm like walking in 1, 2 at a time, back down, in and out. It's like 10 times over, and then I'm like, nah, forget it. It's just too cold. It's just too cold. But they dive straight in because when you're going to go deeper, there's this sense of, I've got to take the plunge. There's this sense of, I've got to dive in, and it's going to be worth it. It's going to get me to somewhere. I'm moving. So this morning we're thinking about moving faith. We're thinking about faith that moves. We're thinking about a relationship that's always moving with God. We're thinking about a relationship that gets deeper. I want to ask us a couple of questions this morning because maybe you've got lots of questions going in your mind. You're thinking, well, you know, I'm kind of happy enough with my relationship with God. It kind of fits into my life quite well. So why? Why should I bother by going deeper? What's the point? Maybe you're asking the question, well, is it worth it? Like, is it even worth it to go deeper with God? Like, you know, that just sounds like I'm going to have to do more things. Do I have to? Maybe the question is, do I have to? Because that's a legitimate question. Do I really have to? Or lastly, what am I going to get out of it? Like, you know, will I get anything out of it? Here's my question. Are you crazy? I mean, are you crazy? This is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the one that knows you from the inside out. You know, if we're talking about relationships, I'm looking for the perfect partner. I find it Nikki, amen. But I am looking for a perfect partner because in a relationship, it's based around me and them. And so as I go into the relationship and I want to have a good, healthy relationship, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a partner that's amazing. Can I tell you that he's amazing? So if you're wondering why, is he worth it? Is there any point to this? Will it be worth me spending my time? What's the point? All of that. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Because he is the best you will ever find. There is no one greater than him. Are you crazy? There's no question. Should I go deeper? It's like, I'm going deeper. I have to go deeper. If I need to. Have you ever seen someone that wants to dive into the pool and eventually they can't do it, so they get someone to push them? You know, like if you need somebody to push you, get them to push you. You ever seen some of those like, what do you call it? I would never do it, but bungee jumps. And they're doing the bungee jump, and eventually at the end, somebody their mate just gives them a shove. Come on, hurry up. And he just goes. And how did it feel after? It's amazing, but I needed that push. I needed that push. Maybe you need that push this morning. Then encourage a friend beside you. Give me a wee thump. Give me a wee whack. No, not too hard. But I need a push. I need a push because, are you crazy? He's the best you'll ever find. There is no relationship greater. There is no one that you're going to find. There's no partner in your life that you will ever find that will ever come close to the relationship that God wants to give us. So I need to go deeper. I have to go deeper. There's no question in it. I want to go deeper with him. And here's the invitation and the calling that God gives us. John 4:8. Yeah, I think we got the verse this morning. John 4:8. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Now, I don't want you to get on the emphasis of, well, if I come to God, close to God, then he's coming close to me. If I don't go close to him, he's not coming close to me. That's not it. Don't get worried. That is not where the emphasis is in this verse. The emphasis in this whole chapter is, don't get double-minded. Don't get distracted by everything else. Don't get concerned with anybody else. Trust me on this. You should come close to God. You should go close to him because he's always looking to come close to you. In fact, let me let you into a little secret. He never leaves you. He just never leaves you. But his encouragement this morning is this: come close to me. Come close to me. If you need the encouragement that I'm going to come back to you, I'll give it to you. But the truth is, I've never left you. The truth is, I will never leave you. The truth is, I am the perfect Father. The truth is, once you asked me into your life, I chose to never leave you ever again. Never, ever, ever. Can you imagine a relationship like that? Now, let me add a couple of things into the mix. Have you seen yourself in the morning sometimes? Have you seen the attitude that you've got sometimes? Have you seen the way that you let yourself down sometimes? The way that you talk about some people sometimes? Remember, no condemnation in Christ. But, I mean, he seems to have the bad end of the deal, doesn't he? But he is so full of love. He is so full of grace. He says, no, no, no. I have seen all of that. I have seen the worst of you. I have seen your sin. And I chose to die for you because I love you far too much. I love you far too much. He's a partner that never leaves. He's a partner that never rejects. He's a partner that never despises. He's a partner that always has constant love towards you. He's the one that calls us friend, even though he's the king of the universe. So he is here this morning, and his invitation is to come closer. I encourage us, this is an invite that we should accept. 4 quick keys about going deeper. And I thought about this. I thought about when we went scuba diving one time. Anybody been scuba diving before? This is kind of fun. Yeah, a few guys been scuba. Me and Steve have been scuba diving. A few of the guys have been scuba diving before. Well, here's the thing about going diving. You've got to do something that you've never done before, which is you got to go under the ocean. You got to go under the ocean. And to do that, there's some preparation that's going to take place. So first off, you've got to make a decision. If you're going to go deeper, you've got to make a decision, number one. And then number two, you've got to prepare. You've got to prepare because if you've ever seen the divers, you've got to have a different suit on because you just won't last under the water just with yourself. It's just far too cold. So you need a different suit on that's going to warm you up as you go deeper and you start to dive further. You can't breathe under the water because we're not naturally designed for there. So we have to get a breathing apparatus. You've got to get the tank on the back. Even our own buoyancy, we're made to float, so we got to put weights on. Imagine that. You got to put weight on to deep dive, to get down further. So there's preparation and there's decision to make. And I feel that sometimes when we're going after the things of God, we're not giving ourselves a great chance because we're saying to God, I want to go deeper, but it hasn't moved past the idea of it's just a good idea or it's just a good desire. It hasn't moved past that point. We haven't went and got ourselves ready. We haven't prepared well. Maybe we haven't prepared at all. Maybe it's just like, well, I just decided one time in a meeting I was going deeper and then nothing changed. But what about you? What did you change? You know what I mean? Because the world's not going to call you deeper into the things of God. You've got to not only make the decision, but then you've got to prepare. And then after you have prepared, and you look like a bit of an idiot when you go scuba because you've got these flippers on, you got the suit on, you look a bit funny because you're not made for land. Once you get ready to go deeper, you're not made for land anymore. Sounds a bit like Christians. You know, we're not really made for this world anymore. We're just passing through. But we're here to make a difference while we're here, but really where we should be found and where we should live is the presence of God. It's not a question of should you go deeper, it's just where I live. It's just I come back to the surface sometimes because I want to be a blessing to everybody else. That's the way Jesus lived his life. He didn't live his life like trying to get into the presence of God. He lived his life trying to get out of the presence of God in the sense of, I've got to leave you, Father, because I've got to go and reach some people, but I'll take you with you. I'll take you with me. And we'll leave this secret place because I've got to go into the public place because I've got to find people. I've got to get people. I've got to bring them into the secret place. And God is here this morning, and hey, you might look a bit silly when you get prepared to go deep diving. But once you've prepared, then you actually got to do it. Then you dive in. And you got to get used to it. Because suddenly your breathing doesn't work the way you want it to. We've done it before, and inside your mind you're going, oh my goodness, if I don't breathe right, this whole thing's over. I'm going to have to get to the surface real quick. You know, this is just not natural. I have to suddenly learn how to breathe. I have to breathe through my nose differently. I've got to exhale through my mouth differently. It's all different. So I got to learn a different technique. Can I encourage you that sometimes there's a transition? When you go to do scuba, we did at the start, there's 10 meters and no further. There's a few meters and no further, and then when you get a master at that, you go deeper and you go deeper. But every time you go deeper, there's an adjustment. There's an adjustment. There's an adjustment. It's the same thing with the things of God. When we are decided to go deeper, we've got to prepare. And then as we prepare, we've actually got to do it. And then as we do it, we've got to learn to go deeper and deeper and deeper. There's a learning period. And I encourage us this morning, I encourage us over this 21 days as we destine our heart, and I believe this morning a lot of people's going to do it, where we decide, I am going deeper into the things of God. In fact, I don't know if I want to do it, but I'm going to get somebody to push me. But as they push me, I am going to prepare. I'm going to read. I'm going to pray. I'm going to set some time aside. And practically, I'm going to create space. Somehow I'm going to create space. You know what? I might just skip the gym for 30 minutes this week because I need to create space to go deeper into the things of God. You know what? I've been struggling to read my Bible for years. Don't shoot me for this, but get a different translation if you need to. You know, it's okay. Get a different translation if you need to. Go and get a Bible commentary. If it hasn't changed so far, what's going to make it change unless you change something? Unless you change something. Because it hasn't been working, so you need to do something different. Maybe your worship CDs, you're just getting fed up with them. Upgrade. Go and get Spotify or go and get something else and start listening to some worship music. Start getting some new stuff if you need to, because maybe it needs something new has to happen in your spirit to call you deeper into the things of God. You see, I start to get purposeful. I start to get mindful. I start to prepare better. I start to get diligent. I start to get consistent. I start to move now because I have decided I am going deeper. So I want us to look at 3-4 different things this morning, just for a few moments, that's hopefully going to help us move forward as we go deeper. The first one is this. If we're going to move deeper and we're going to move down, we've got to get away from surface level. I think this is one of the biggest challenges we have in every relationship. There has to come a point in time where we decide this thing's no longer going to be surface level. I'm going to jump in. You know, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to do something about it. You know, maybe you've been watching something for a while. Maybe there's something you're looking to buy, and you've seen it online, and you've seen it on Amazon. You've been watching it for a while. Then eventually there comes a day where you make the decision, I'm going to go for this thing. I'm going to get it. And maybe there's two things that happens. There's either the fear of it's somebody else is going to get it, and so that promotes you to do it, or there's the reality of, I just really want it now. I just really want it. I've been watching it for ages, and I just really want it. And it's that moment that happens where we went from surface level where I kind of just like this thing, you know, kind of just like, I make the commitment, I'm going to pay for it. There's going to be a transaction that takes place. Or maybe you're deeply in love. Wow. Maybe you're deeply in love and you're not married yet. And that person that you're looking at just is like, they're the one. They are the one. And you have decided, I'm going to ask the question. I am going to ask the question. Now, we just talked about it just a minute ago. You got to get prepared. You got to make the decision. You got to execute. It's exactly the same when it comes to buying a ring. You got to get prepared. Oh my goodness, it's going to cost. Oh my goodness, I got to work hard. Do I really want to commit to this one forever? I mean, this is what we do. We start to think long term in our mind and go, wow, I think I really love this girl. I think I really love this guy. Right? Okay, I'm going to go for it. I got to go for it. And we choose to go from surface level to somewhere deeper. Once we do that, we're not sure where we're going to end up, but we hope that we're going to continuously get deeper. Because no one gets into marriage or no one gets into a big decision in the hope that I'll just be under the surface like, oh, it was just a bit of a change. You're hoping that life will never be the same again. That you'll never be at surface ever again. That relationship will just get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's what God's calling us to in a relationship with Him. It's like if our relationship with Him is still at surface level, we've never really truly made the full commitment. If our relationship with Him, now don't get me wrong, you can be saved, but you can still be surface level because there's still some trust issues that's going on in your life because of things that have happened before. But God's saying to you, I want to renew that. I want to change that so that you can go deeper with me. Because the deeper you get with Him, the greater it becomes. Trust me. I want to go deeper. Anybody else want to go deeper? I want to go deeper because I know in spite of how I'm feeling, I know he is incredible and he will transform me and he will change things. So there's risk involved. There's some butterflies involved. There's some big decisions involved. There's some like, oh my goodness, I'm actually going to do this thing. There's commitment involved. And maybe you're here this morning, for you, commitment is like, oh my goodness, I don't like commitment. I want to keep my options open. But for God, we shouldn't have any other options. He is our only one. I've decided I'm going deeper. I've decided I'm going away from surface level. That is what he is looking for us to do. The truth is, if we're looking to move away from surface level, commitment is required. Commitment is required. And I want to read Genesis 39. We're going to read it together in just a moment. But I want to remind you of the story of Joseph. I believe there's some truth in this morning, because the story of Joseph reveals a life of a person that might have started off on surface level with God, but very quickly got deep in with God, and as a result, it affected every part of his life. If you remember back to Joseph, we haven't got time to read it all, but I encourage you. It's over chapter upon chapter, but it's a wonderful story, and it's just great. The life of Joseph is an amazing story from start to finish. But at the start of Joseph's life, he's like this young guy. He's full of ideas. He's full of dreams, and God starts to speak to him. But their relationship's kind of on surface level. And God speaks to him, and he says, hey, you know what? Everybody's going to bow down to you. And he gets this image of all these like wheat, and they're all going to bow down to him. And then he gets this image of the stars, and he's like, he's the brightest star. And if you're like a young guy, this is like, oh my goodness, I'm the world's greatest. There's nobody greater than me. Everybody's going to love me. I'm going to be rich and famous. And this is kind of what's going on in Joseph's mind. And so when he tells his brothers, needless to say, his brothers don't like it. They don't like it. They're like, well, you know, kind of the culture of the day is, it's like, who do you think you are? You know, we're your older brothers. In fact, you know what? If you keep up that kind of chat, we're going to teach you a lesson. And that's exactly what happened. Joseph was like, you know what, guys? You're going to bow down to me. And there's a right time to say that, and then there's a wrong time to say that. And he just kept saying it at the wrong time. And eventually, they decided, we've had enough of this Joseph boy. He's a dead man to us. We need rid of him because he's just dangerous. We need to get rid of him. We need to get rid of him. So they decide, they were going to kill him, but then eventually one of them decides, the older brother decides, let's just chuck him in a pit, and hopefully that somebody buys him. Terrible. Imagine taking your brother or your sister and selling them off to slavery. Now, don't even get that in your head. That should not happen. And if that has happened, repent immediately. But back in those days, this is what happened. He gets chucked in a pit, left for dead. Slave traders come along and they take him. And eventually Joseph finds himself in Genesis 39. His life just keeps tumbling and tumbling and tumbling. But all along the way, his relationship with God is getting deeper. It's getting deeper. And we know this because of the outcomes of his life. And it'll be the same for you. If there's much fruit coming in your life, then we know, everybody knows your relationship with God's going deeper. If there's no fruit in your life, well, maybe it still needs to go deeper. Maybe it needs to get away from surface level. Maybe you need to get back to going deeper. Time to get diving again. Maybe you need burst in. But Joseph, Genesis 39, says this: Potiphar was furious. And Potiphar's wife was the one who falls in love with Joseph. So eventually he gets sold into slavery, and now he gets traded. Peter, put up the verse for me, Genesis 39. He gets traded into slavery, and eventually he ends up at Potiphar's house. And he's the captain of the army, captain of the guard. And eventually things transpire where, because of the favor on Joseph's life, Potiphar's wife likes him. She thinks he's pretty hot. He's a pretty nice looking guy. You know what? I think I fancy him. I think I'd like him. So this is what way she starts to think. And but Joseph's not living like that. Remember, his relationship with God's going deeper. And he says, no way, it's not happening. So he just says, no way. He runs away. Now he gets in trouble. And Potiphar's wife turns it around and says, actually, he's a bad guy. Actually, he's the one that was looking at me. Actually, he's not good. And they don't know what to do. Potiphar comes back and he's furious, and this is what he says. When he heard his wife's story about how Joseph had treated her, he took Joseph and threw him into prison where the king's prisoners were held. And there he remained, but the Lord was with Joseph. I want you to notice this, verse 21. But the Lord was with Joseph in prison and showed him his faithful love. And the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all other prisoners and over everything that happened in the prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything, and the Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. Now you're beginning to wonder, was prison a good place or a bad place? Because it seems that even though Joseph was in prison, his life just seems to go from strength to strength. His life just continues to be highly favored. His life just seems to be still full of blessing. In fact, Joseph is so highly favored and so blessed, he gets in charge of the whole blinking place. It's like the warden doesn't even need to do his job because Joseph does it. It says everyone, the Lord was faithful towards him. His love was faithful towards him. Can I encourage you this morning that the only place that you need to find yourself is close to Jesus? And no matter where you find yourself in the physical place, it doesn't matter, because if he is with you, you are highly favored. Can I encourage you this morning that even when you find yourself in prison, don't get discouraged or dismayed for too long, but look up and remind yourself, God is with me. Joseph could have spent his whole life going, this is a disaster. This is a joke. I was supposed to be the shining star. I was supposed to be the one that bowed down to me. My life is a joke. What's even going on with my life? In fact, if anybody even looked at my life, they would say, this Joseph boy, he mustn't be close to God at all. But no, when you took a closer look to his life, it didn't matter what circumstance he found himself in, he was always highly favored. He was always rising to the top. He always had the presence of God. God was always being faithful to him. So this morning, wherever we find ourselves, could it be that that place that you're in is part of the journey for your destination? Could it be this morning that as you have went deeper into the things of God, as you have left surface level, as you have went deeper with him, and as life's trials have come, and as life's troubles have come, and when everybody else is going, what's going on? You're still saying, well, do you know what? I don't understand it, but I know that God's still with me because I made a commitment to go deeper with him. I made a commitment to go deeper with God, and so therefore I know as I come close to him, he comes close to me. Joseph knew that no matter what, God is with me. And as a result, the warden has no more worries. Because Joseph took care of everything, the Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. Everything he did to succeed. Even in prison, he succeeded. Imagine that this morning. Even in prison, he succeeded because Joseph decided a long time ago, I am deep diving into a relationship with God. It is no longer going to be surface level. Here's the warning for us this morning. If our relationship continues to be surface level, we're going to find ourselves in prisons. We're going to find ourselves in pits. We're going to find ourselves in difficult seasons and difficult issues. And then we're going to say, where is God in this? The one who loves us, the one who has called us, we're going to question God instead of question the situation. Can I encourage you this morning, as you go deeper into the things of God, this is what's going to happen. When you push past those surface levels, your life will be affected by God. When you push past those surface levels, your life, every part of your life will be affected by God. If you don't, then your life will affect God. Your life will affect your relationship with God. Your life will affect your walk with God. Your life will affect your thoughts with God. Your life will affect your talk with God. And you will say, does God even exist? Is God even real? What about the plans and purposes for my life? Every trial you will face, you will question God. Instead of when you go deeper, God will affect your life. God will affect your life. And this is what we need to sow into our hearts this morning. So when we come to the trials and we come to the difficult seasons, God affects them instead of them affecting our relationship with God. And all of that is found as we go deeper into the things of God. I cannot afford to stay surface level. I must dive deeper because I want God to affect every area of my life. Amen? That is what I need, and that is what I have to have. I cannot afford for my relationship to stay on the surface. Second point this morning, our relationship with God must have direction. It must have direction. I started to think about it. I thought to myself, could you imagine, again, we were talking about engagements earlier, but could you imagine saying to that girl, I really, 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 really love you. I just really love you. You know, I don't know what it is, but I just really love you. And then she turns around to you one day and says, hey, do you want to get married? And you're like, oh, not sure. It's just like, what? I thought we were heading somewhere. I thought we were on a direction here. I thought we decided some things. I thought we had made a commitment. You're like, I really, 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 really love you, but I'm just not sure about that sort of commitment. And I think it's important as we go deeper that we have a direction for our depth, that there's a point to what we're doing this thing for, that there's a reason for where we're going. Like, I'm going deeper because of this. I'm going deeper because I want that. It's not just I'm going for a swim. It's not just I'm just having some fun. It's like I must have a purpose. There's a reason. I'm all in. And because I'm all in, there's a direction I'm going after. Remember we said 10 years. Where do I want to be in 10 years? God, where are you calling me to be in this next 10 years? That's what I'm thinking about. That's what's calling me and causing me to go deeper every day, to pursue him. That's what's causing me to fast. That's what's causing me, because there's something in my gaze. There's a direction that I have to head towards. There's an answer that I must receive. And so therefore, I'm pushing into that 21 days of prayer and fasting. That's why I'm going after him. And for us this morning, we've got to know why. Isaiah 43 says this. I'm going to read it together. It says, everyone who is called by my name. Back in the book of Isaiah, he starts to tell us why we should go after the things of God and why we should dedicate our lives to him. Because I was created for his glory. I was created for his glory. And we've got to know this morning. The direction I'm heading is for the glorification of God. The direction I'm heading is because I want to live a life that glorifies the King. The direction I'm heading is because I have been made to worship and to glorify him. And so how do I do that? Well, that part gets trickier, and it's up to you, and it's up to your conviction with him. But it definitely should involve loving him more. Like every day, what's my direction? I just want to love God even more. What's my direction for going into prayer? What's my direction for going into my quiet times? What's my direction as I go to work? I just want to love him more. What's my focus? What's my direction? I just want to be that person he's called me to be. I want to press deeper into the things of God because I want to become the man or the woman of God. I want to fulfill the destinies and the plans he's called me to. I want to be just like Jesus. I have a direction. I'm going to the cross. You see, that's what God says. Every day, have your direction set. My direction every day is that I should head towards the cross. Because as I die on the cross, it reminds me of why I'm dying. I'm dying for everybody else. I'm dying for everybody else because that's what Jesus did. He says, pick up your cross every day if you want to follow me. Deny yourself. Follow after me. That is the way of Christ. That is the way of God. So it's not just suddenly we get away from this options-based faith where it's like, yeah, I kind of feeling it today, like really feeling it. Wow, really feeling it. Like if I even prayed for anybody, somebody's going to get healed, And the next day, nah, just not feeling it. Like, no. Don't even ask me to pray. If I pray for you right now, it would just be awful. Just be awful. And it's just that kind of up and down, because we have led ourselves into this option-based place. We have led ourselves into this like, yeah, if the things are going really good, I pick the top menu item. But if things aren't going so bad, I just hit the bottom. I just go that. It's like, no. God has called us into deeper things than that, and our ultimate purpose is to glorify him. But I set my direction on the things of God, and as I do that, I die every day to live for him, and he sustains me. He sustains me. And when I follow that direction, oh my goodness, everything starts to change. I start to go deeper. And I wrote down just a couple of quick things this morning of like, what's my direction? And maybe your question, what is your direction this morning? And what direction has God called you to this morning? Well, I'm going to encourage you with just a few quick ones here today. It's like, maybe your direction is not for yourself. That'll be a pretty good start. My direction is for my kids. You know what? I'm going deeper into the things of God because I am thinking about my kids. I want them to start where I finish. I want them to start like 10 times ahead of me. I want them to go further into the things of God than I ever dreamed. I'm going the direction because of my kids. I'm going deeper because of them. That's what's in my gaze. Or maybe there's a family member that you've been dreaming and praying and heartbroken over to see saved or delivered. That's my direction. I'm doing it for them. I am going deeper for them. This is not just recreational. This is my whole life. I'm going for them. Maybe there's a co-worker. Maybe you're dreaming of your whole business, your whole work to get saved. What do we have for a dream over this next 21 days? I want to see my whole business. I want to see the whole workplace saved. I want to see everyone in my family saved. That is my direction. That is what I'm after. That's what calls me deeper. That's why I'm deep diving. It's not just me anymore. It's everybody else. And when we get close to that, suddenly we get closer to him. Because he didn't come for himself. He came for us. And then last question this morning. How deep do you want to go? How deep do you want to go? Maybe that's the question for you. Maybe you've made the decision, going deeper. Maybe you've set the direction. Well, now your last question, how deep do you want to go? How deep do you want to go into the things of God? Because there are no limits. He's saying, go deeper, go further, go deeper, go further. There is more. Every day, there is more. And so really, I think we change this question and we say, how deep is there? Like, how far can I go, Lord? Like, is there any limits? And he'll just come back? No. Just keep coming, just keep coming, just keep coming. But we do have the decision to make. Am I just going to dip my toes? Is this Christian faith like, you know what, I kind of like it. It kind of gives me some goosebumps. And, you know, I kind of like it. It's nice we service every week. You know, we can find ourselves at that place. Can I encourage you? Get somebody to push you off that place quick. Just push it off quick. You don't want to stay there. Or maybe you get to your place of snorkeling. Everybody been snorkeling before, you get the snorkel on, and you can kind of, and you know the thing about snorkeling is it can be a bit deceiving because you can be in the ocean or in the lake, and you can even be looking underneath, but you can't really go anywhere because you only got like a few inches of air. Once you go down, you can even dive a bit, but you got to hold your breath. You can't breathe, so you got to keep coming back up. So snorkeling is quite good, but you're stuck in between. You don't want to be stuck snorkeling. It's just you want to go deeper than that. Or maybe you've decided, I'm going to look a bit funny, because scuba divers do. Going to look a bit funny, going to prepare, going to spend a bit of money, going to spend a bit of time. It's going to cost me some stuff, but you know what? It's going to be worth it, because I'm going into deep dive mode. I am going further. I am going deeper. And can I encourage you this morning, if you've been diving for a while, then you're used to scuba. I'm going to ask you to go for an upgrade. Get a submarine. Get a submarine so you can go wherever you want to go because God has called you deep down. You see, this morning what I'm thinking about the whole time is that water covers the whole earth. 2/3 of the earth are oceans. 2/3 of the earth are oceans, and yet we know less about our oceans than we do about space. We know more about space than our oceans. It's nuts. Because it's difficult to deep dive. You can't just do it on a whim. You got to get really prepared. It's going to cost you some stuff. And this morning, as we go into this 21 days, and we've been in it for 7 days, and we're going for another 14, can we get real with ourselves? When we go deeper, there is a cost. There is a cost. There's a cost to our friendships in the sense of I mightn't just have as much quality time because I got to spend more time with him. There's a cost like, you know what, I'm actually have to buy some books because I want to read some more, or I'm going to have to purchase some tickets to get to some places because I want to go deeper into the things of God. So conferences start to become a thing for me for a while, or I got to listen to this, or I've got to go there, or I've got to be there, or I've got to get to this meeting because I need to go deeper. Something needs to change in me. But if we don't realize there's a cost, we'll just dip our toes. And we'll say, it didn't really work for me. Didn't really work. But if we count the cost, then we can suddenly go deeper than we've ever been before. So here's my encouragement. You need to buy a submarine. You need to get a submarine. It's time to go so far down. The only way to go is deeper. We want to go so deep into the things of God, so deep, past the feelings, past the emotions, where we suddenly just living with him so close, we just feel his heartbeat, and he moves through us, and we're full of the Spirit, and we move with him, and every step that we take, it's just him and us, him and us, him and us. Last verse this morning, and then we're going to worship the Lord. Matthew 23:12. Here it is. But those who exalt themselves will be humbled. This is what we're doing when we press deeper into God. This is what we're doing when we fast. We're deciding with ourselves to say, hey, I'm not going to exalt myself anymore. I'm just not going to do it. But instead, I'm going to humble myself before him. I'm going to humble myself before God. And he is going to exalt me. Anybody want to be exalted? Anybody want to be exalted this morning? Come on, it's okay to say this. Yeah, anybody want to be exalted? When I think about the word exalted, I start to think kingdom language. Kingdom language. Princesses, princes. I start to think as kings. And that's the way God wants us to think this morning. But here's the lie of the world, that if you go after your own agenda, and as everybody kind of bows down to you, and everybody vouches for you, and everybody goes for you, then you're going to get exalted? No. It's as you humble yourself before him, then he exalts you. The pathway to greatness, because I believe every one of us are made to do great things because we're all made in his image, and so there's greatness inside of us. The pathway to greatness this morning is humility. Doesn't make any earthly sense, doesn't make any sense at all, but in the kingdom of God. But those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Let's stand together. We're going to pray.